Welcome to Jetfish TV. My name's Kirk Davis and this is my brand new format of fishing show that I'm bringing to you live from right here every week for the next 2 months. As a fishing show, as far as a fishing show goes, the fishing content is not a lot different from the fishing shows you see on TV. It's still quality fishing, quality editing, quality production, and the type of fishing that gets you guys to want to get out on your boats, your skis, your kayaks, or fishing off the wharf. The difference is that we're going to be live here every week with a guest from within the industry. We're going to be giving away prizes. We're going to be giving away, excuse me, going to be giving away heaps of prizes. We're going to be talking to experts on the couch and getting some information and asking you guys questions. You guys are going to be asking us questions and giving us information. Speaking of prizes, to win a prize, what you need to do right now, we're going to give away some Ocean Angler soft baits and a Yamaha Farnley's Yamaha hat. All you need to do to win that right now is to tag a mate that should be on this post. So get tagging, and I'm going to talk to our first guest, the lucky first guest of Jetfish TV, Mark Kitterage from Ocean Angler.
Yeah, good to be here, mate.
Welcome.
Fantastic.
Welcome. Geez, I tell you what, it's been a hectic schedule to get to here, but
yeah.
Man, it's great to be here.
Well, you know, it's a sign of the times, and I think that you've done really well to grasp the opportunity. And you know, it's just craziness going on at the moment, and let's make the most of it while it's happening. Yeah, it's not all bad. The fish are out there. The fishing's fantastic in some places, and so let's make the most of it.
Exactly. So what we're going to see tonight, well, before we start talking about tonight, actually, let's talk about the prizes. So I mentioned the prizes and that we've got a lot of prizes to give away. Every week we're going to be giving away lots of different prize draws. So pretty much every time we have a break in the show, we're going to be giving something away to you guys. We've got Yamaha hats. We've got Ocean Angler soft baits. We've got Daiwa J braid, Daiwa J thread. We've got Daiwa t-shirts. We have got some pliers. So we're going to be giving all bits and pieces of that away every week. And then we've also got a major prize. And the major prize is pretty cool. We've got a Daiwa KIX 3000 reel, soft bait reel, with 300 meters of braid that comes on a Daiwa rod at the TD Macca, the Black Macca, sorry. 7-foot soft bait rod. We've got a Lowrance, forgotten what it's called now. A Lowrance.
We're getting old, mate.
A Lowrance Hook 7 split shot. I always forget. I get confused with all the numbers. You've got a Hook 7 split shot. So it's a Lowrance Hook 7 split shot. An awesome little sounder GPS. We've got 2 Yamaha life jackets, life vests. We've got 2 Yamaha caps. And we have got a Yamaha grab bag to put all that booty in. And you might wonder why we need 2 Yamaha life vests and why we need 2 Yamaha caps. It's because in addition to all that, you get to come, one lucky person and their friend, so 2 of you will get to come out fishing for the day on your own ski for the day. So you don't get to keep the ski. You can bring your own ski if you've got a ski. If you haven't got a ski, Farnley's Yamaha are going to put a ski on for you and your mate for the day. So 2 skis. We'll meet you in Auckland. You've got to make your own way to Auckland. And we'll go for a cruise. We'll go fishing. We'll go looking for dolphins. Whatever it is that you want to do for the day, we're going to do that for you. So that's how the prizes work. To win that main prize, though, the key for winning that main prize is that you must tag someone in this post. So every time you tag someone during this show, you get an entry. And you must like the Jetfish TV page on Facebook. And to double your entry, you like the Jetfish TV page on Instagram. So that is the key. You are not in that main prize draw unless you tag someone during the show. You can tag them anytime. You don't just have to tag them when I say. You can just keep tagging all your mates. They should be watching it, right? So keep tagging your mates in here to let them know that they should be watching. That gets you in the draw. Just remember to also like Jetfish TV on Facebook, Jetfish TV on Instagram. Now, I've been a little bit rude. I've left Mark
that's fine,
sitting
mate.
here. So Mark, if you don't know Mark, well, you probably should know Mark by now, but if you don't know Mark, he is, I guess he's very well known in...
I won't go away.
He's very well known in the fishing circles. He does soft baiting. I know him for soft baiting, right? Like that's where I know his skill exists. We're going to come back to Mark in a little bit, probably during the break in the show. And we'll just switch back to this camera here now, Blake, just so that Mark and I can talk to them. And we'll come back to Mark during the break. So the way the show's going to work is we're going to go into the fishing show. The fishing show's is about 20 minutes long. Instead of an ad break, we're going to come back here to talk to Mark and I. You guys can ask any questions you want along the way, right? We'll try and answer them during the ad break. If it's coming up in the show, we'll let you know. And certainly after the show, we're really going to look at soft baiting. This episode has got a lot of soft baiting in it. It's all about soft baiting. So that's why Mark's here. He's the expert on that. I love soft baiting as well. It's my favourite form of fishing. Right, let's pick a winner now of that soft bait and braid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Blake, my producer, to scroll through the comments. Just scroll through the comments, Blake. Scroll up through all those comments. There's heaps of comments, guys, so that's awesome. He's going to pick one randomly and put it on the screen just there anywhere, mate. Yep, he's going to... Right, so John Botha, you have won the Ocean Angler soft baits and the Farnley's cap. So if you can go to the Jetfish TV Facebook page, send me a message with your details and I'll be in contact with you after the show to arrange to post that out. That's the prizes. So now...
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, so now I think it's time that we start to get into the first episode. It's been a... Welcome to Jetfish. A couple of production issues. Don't panic. Nobody panic. Right, it's been a long time coming to get to this point. I'm going to have a beer because things aren't going 100% perfectly. But that's going to be one of the joys of this show, right? Is that when you're filming in a live environment like this, you don't get to do a retake. When I'm out on the ski and I'm filming, if something goes wrong, I can tell
the flow, mate.
Exactly, I can do a retake. Right here, we're live. So we're all learning, including the producer. He's learning. I mucked up what I told him I was going to do, so it's my fault. I'm going to have a beer. You guys are going to sit back, and let's watch the first ever episode of Jetfish TV. Welcome to Jetfish. My name's Kirk Davis, and this is my show where I take you to meet some pretty cool people in some pretty cool places and have some pretty cool fishing experiences. And I do it all on a wave runner. With a range of over 150 kilometres, I can go anywhere that a boat can go. It's easy to launch, safe and stable enough to stand on one side or fight large fish. I've got all the electronics and storage that any boat would have, and I always carry with me the latest safety equipment. This life's not going to live itself. So hop on now and let's head off on today's Jetfish adventure. Right, let's give Pops a call.
Good morning.
Hey, how you going?
Good, mate. Good.
Good. That weather's looking good. You ready to hit the road? We'll head down the marina and start packing the boat?
Sounds like a good idea, boy.
Okay.
Good idea. Where shall we go, do you reckon?
I reckon we stick with the plan and go to Great Barrier, eh?
Down the ground. Yep.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay, I'll chuck some gear in the car. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
See ya. Wait. Let's do it. Right, off we go. Down to the marina, which is only a couple of minutes away. We're going to load the boat. We're going to load the mothership. Pops is the skipper. He's there with the boat now. Once we've done that, we'll go and launch the ski and we'll be away. How you going?
Good morning, Kirky. All ready to go, boy.
Ready to go?
Here we come.
Good. Nice one. Let's go.
Right.
Great Barrier Island is one of the islands which is the entrance to the Hauraki Gulf. So much fish life between here and there, and hopefully a lot of fish life there. The reports are the fishing's been a little bit tricky at Great Barrier recently, so we're going to have a look on the way as well. The advantage of going 100 kilometres is that we're covering a lot of ground. Hopefully we'll come across some fish. It's a beautiful day. The forecast is only about 10 knots for the next 3 or 4 days. This is going to be epic. Riding any distance on a ski is an awesome experience, but when you ride long distances, it is almost a certainty that dolphins will find you and ride along with you. They love to jump and play alongside, as well as just sit under the bow in the pressure wave formed by the wave runner. You never know what you're going to see on one of these trips, and this trip would be no exception. Not far from Great Barrier Island, I came across a massive school of surface feeding fish that looked more than a little promising. When kahawai are present in these numbers, there's almost certainly snapper and kingfish there with them. When the fish are feeding like this, they're feeding on the krill, and the krill are just tiny. So what I'm trying to do is I've got this little tassel on the end of the flea, and I'm hoping that that is going to replicate or imitate a little bit of krill. But there's so much food here for them, they're really hard to hook sometimes. Oh, there's one. Fish on. Oh, that's a nice one. These kahawai, good size, ocean going kahawai. We're right by a reef by Thorn Rock. So they're nice big ocean going fish. Be great in the smoker. Real hard fighters, the kahawai. I love catching them on light gear. It's a nice size one. Got it. Right, let's have a look at him. I'm going to keep him so I can put my hands in his gills. Get that net out of the way and we'll have a look. You can see there the little flea that he's grabbed, and what these kahawai are feeding on is krill, but on the end of the flea is a nice little red and white tiny little skirt. That's what he's chased, that's what he's grabbed, and we've got something for the smoker. It was a great start to the day's fishing to snag a kahawai after such a short time fishing on the jet ski. I love it when a day starts this way. With so much topwater action here, I decided to stick around and see if there was anything large feeding under these kahawai. Here comes the school, it's coming at me. Man, there's a heap of fish there. It's the spot, right amongst them. You've got to think, how can you miss from a spot like this? Look at all these fish, thousands of kahawai. There's got to be some big snapper underneath them, just cruising with them. Unbelievable fishing. What a backyard, what a place to live where you can come out and see something like this. Unbelievable. Oh, yep, fish on. Oh, good fish. Oh, could be a kingfish, this one. It's grabbed it mid-water as it was dropping down. Good fish. Still not sure what this is. Digging down deep. Could be a nice snapper. I think it is. Got some colour. We've got some colour, boys. Oh yeah. That is a nice fish. And that's why I'm following these kahawai. Thousands of kahawai swimming here. And I've cast the soft bait in, and that is a beautiful snapper. What a beauty, what a fight it was. You could see how much power he had in the fight. It took off like a kingfish mid-water, headed for the reef, but we subdued him. We've got him in. Let's get him in, have a look at him, and I think he's going to be a prime one for the smoker. Oh yeah. How's that for a fish? That's what we travel an hour and a half for. One of these big bad boys on the Atomic Sunrise, 7-inch Atomic Sunrise on a 3/8 of an ounce jig head. I used the 3/8 of an ounce just to get it down nice and slowly, and that's where he hit it, mid-water. Beautiful fish. The trip to the island couldn't have started better. Plenty of dolphins on the way, and I've already got myself a decent snapper and kahawai for dinner. What a fantastic end to what's been a really varied day. The weather has been fantastic all day. It's forecast to stay like this. Just pulling into Smokehouse Bay now. We'll go in and maybe get some fish on the smoke. Smokehouse Bay at Port Fitzroy is one of my favourite places on the barrier. It was set up years ago by a local guy and I love it. It's only accessible by boat, and it's where we headed to smoke our catch for dinner that night. Here we go, the fire's started, the smoke is smoking, the fish is in the brine. I'm going to go get it on here so we can get dinner underway. Don't worry, it isn't finished. We're just having a quick break so that you guys can ask some questions and we can give away a prize. Speaking of prizes, what we're going to give away now is a Farnley's Yamaha hat and drink bottle. So this time, what I want you to do is tell me your favourite coloured soft bait. While you're doing that, all you got to do is just tell me your favourite coloured soft bait. You can tag a mate if you want to, because that puts you into the main prize draw. If you've got any questions, you can ask questions now. We're only having a very short break. We're going to get back into the fishing in about a minute or two. So off you go, ask your questions, tell me your favourite coloured soft bait. We'll then pick a winner. The winner will win a Farnley's Yamaha hat and a drink bottle. In the meantime, I'm going to have a chat to Mark. And Mark, what colour soft baits what's your preferred, what's your go-to?
I've actually come up against a real problem in that it varies almost every day now. It used to be motor oil, motor oil, motor oil, motor oil. In fact, Bruised Banana first,
yep. Then
motor oil. And for 2 years, I just had that hanging off the end of my rod because I just couldn't find anything better. And then just recently, I've had like Laguna Shrimp's been a good one. Sexy Penny.
So Laguna Shrimp's the pink one?
Laguna Shrimp's the pink one.
Yeah.
Yep. And also Smoky Shad, which is like, it doesn't seem to have very much going for it at all. It's just like a very ho-hum sort of silvery pearl.
Yep.
And yet it's saved me so many times in very recent fishing trips. So
yep.
Yeah, I really like that one as well.
Yeah, I have to say
And Atomic Sunrise, of course.
Atomic Sunrise is good.
Yeah.
My go-to is the Bruised Banana, right?
Wow.
That's just my go-to for big snapper. And the motor oil, I hadn't really used. I had this pack of 7-inch in my ski for ages, and I went up to the far north, and I got it out. And second cast, I got a 17-pound snapper.
Yeah.
And since then, that's now on a par with my Bruised Banana. But also the Atomic Sunrise, nice. You know, good. Different light conditions, and we're going to talk about light conditions in a minute and how the light conditions affect certainly the way that I select a lure.
Yep.
Do you use different light conditions?
Yeah, and the turbidity of the water light. You know, is it murky?
Word. What was that word?
Yeah, mate. Like, you know, that's where my
turbidity.
It's just, you know, whether the water's kind of murky and stuff like that. You know, is it dark? So yeah, that definitely has a bearing on the colour that I would select. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's see if we can find someone. Blake, if you just scroll through someone who has picked a soft bait colour there, just a random, yep, don't go too far. Let's pick one in there somewhere. Varek Nand, the Sexy Penny. Sexy Penny, yeah?
Yeah, Sexy Penny, good on you.
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah, nice colour. So
Yeah, excellent one.
good one. So Varek, if you can send to Jetfish TV your contact details, just let me know that you've won and I'll make contact with you after the show. So that's the prize, I think. Without any further ado, we should get back into part 2 of the episode. The morning has dawned calm and clear, and I am amping to go. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day on the water, but first things first. Right, before we go soft baiting, I'm going to show you some of the gear that I use. The rods and reels, the hooks, and the soft baits themselves. It all makes a lot of difference to your catch rate. All right, the first rod I use is the Daiwa Hyper. It's got 6 kilo braid on, J braid, and it's got a Daiwa Saltus Nero 3000. Attached to my braid is 20-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 1/4 ounce light bulb jig head. 1/4 ounce because I'm going to be casting right up into the reef and I want it to work down really slowly. I'm going to put a 7-inch soft bait on this, so it'll just work down nice and slowly. So that's rig number 1. On the second one, I've got a Daiwa BG 3000, again with 6 kilo braid, 20-pound mono leader, but this time a 3/8 of an ounce jig head. 3/8 of an ounce for a couple of reasons. One is in case I'm fishing a little bit deeper, and 2 is to give me a variation. So when I'm dropping, if I'm not getting them on the 1/4 ounce, if it feels like it's taking too long to get down or it's just not getting hit, I've got a different size jig head to try and change it up. If something's not working, I'm a big fan of just changing it up to see what happens. So to rig them, we'll start with this 3/8 of an ounce. In my glove box, it's like a TARDIS. So among all the other stuff I've got in there, I've got a pack of Bruised Banana Z-Mans. We'll get one out, put them back in there, and we're going to rig them. A lot of people say, oh, how do I stop my soft bait getting pulled off the hook? Well, I'm about to show you. The Z-Mans have a split underneath. So what you do is you go through the middle of the nose, make sure you're right in the middle, down and out, come out that split. Push it all the way up to the top, turn it round, and then push the hook through so it comes out in the little crease on the top. And that soft bait is now perfectly rigged and ready to be cast. So remember, this is my slightly heavier one. It's 1/8 of an ounce heavier. Slightly heavier, you put that on there, and that's the Bruised Banana. So the Bruised Banana I use when the conditions are a little darker. So if I'm fishing in the dark or a shady area, which we'll try and find today, then the Bruised Banana will be my go-to bait. I do the same on the other rod with an Atomic Sunrise 7-inch Z-Man on a 1/4 ounce light bulb jig head, and we're ready to go. We've left our overnight anchorage of Smokehouse Bay and we're going to head out now around the top of the barrier to see what the barrier's got to offer. After such a wicked day yesterday, I was itching to keep momentum and I soon found a spot that looked fishy. Casting into the wash, it's all about movement, it's all about looking for where the sea is bashing against the rocks, it's aerating it up, keeping that soft bait moving. People say to me, what are you looking for when you pick a fishing spot? Well, what I'm looking for here is it's coming up out of the deep from 20 metres. It's coming right up onto the rocks, it's breaking, there's a bit of a swell breaking on the rocks. And it just feels a little bit fishy. It's coming off, we're on the northern side of the barrier, so it's coming off some big open sea. And if I was a big snapper, this is where I'd be coming into as my first port of call to hang out. Hooked something right in the wash. Not a big one, but it's a start for the day. Nice little reef snapper to start the day's wash fishing. You've got to always be in touch with your line. If you're not in touch with your line, you'll either miss the bite or you'll hook the bottom. I can see the touches just in that little bow in my line. I can just see them just giving it a touch. I'm keeping it a little bit loose deliberately so that they can take it a little. Get lots of little toothy fish fishing a reef system like this. So the Z-Mans are perfect because they don't get pulled apart. Other soft baits will just get chewed to bits by the leather jackets and anything else with the sharp teeth. But the Z-Mans are very resilient. I love them. And fish on. Oh, fish off. The exposed shallow coastline wasn't doing it for me, so I decided to move on. And it didn't take long to get some action. Oh, nice fish. Oh. Nice fish, he just grabbed it. Oh yeah, took off with that. Pulled in here into the shade because it wasn't working in the shallow in the sun, so I've come out a bit deeper. Comes up out of 30 meters. And this is a good one. Oh no, he's in the weed. Get up, get up, get up. Oh. Yep, here we got colour. Here he comes, he's a nice snapper. Oh yeah. Yeah boy. That's what we've come out here for. What a beauty on the Bruised Banana. Just managed to keep him out of the weed. He was a hard fighter. Oh yeah. And that's about a 6 kilo, 5.5 kilo fish. 12 pounds. A real nice one. One that makes these journeys worthwhile. We're going to keep him for the smoker. And there's a beautiful 5.5 kilo snapper. Switch to the Bruised Banana on the 3/8 of an ounce light bulb jig head, and that's the result. That's more like it. Still buzzing from landing that nice snapper, I continued to prospect new spots around the island in search of the so far elusive monster. Oh, fish on! Oh, nice fish! Big fish! Big fish! So there we go. That was part 2. There is some pretty awesome fishing to be had at Great Barrier. We've still got one part to go. We're going to find out what happens after the break and have a real adventure. Before I start chatting to Mark about the barrier and his experiences there, what I want to do is we'll give away another prize, eh? Let's give away, mate. Why not?
Yeah. Give away prizes.
I've got this massive Daiwa stickers. I mean, these are Daiwa stickers for your boat. This isn't for your skateboard. This is these things are probably
or the roof of your house, maybe.
You could put it on the roof. That would be pretty cool if you're in the path of the airport. Big Daiwa sticker. I'm going to give you a Daiwa t-shirt, and I'm also going to give you a Daiwa cap. But what I want to know is, what is the big fish that I've got on? So don't forget, keep tagging your mates as well, because you'll go in the main prize draw, which is all those massive prizes, including a day out fishing for you and a mate. But what I want to know is, what have I just hooked up to here? Is it a snapper, a kingfish, a trevally, a shark, or do I lose it? You've got 5 options there, right? Snapper, kingfish, trevally, shark, or do I lose it? That's up to you guys. You can decide while you decide and start putting in some guesses and tagging your mates to get in that main draw. Mark and I will have a chat about Mark's kind of experiences at Great Barrier. Like, I love the place. It's so untouched, you know, and there's just so much to explore there.
Sure. Even though there's actually a fair number of people on there, it still feels as if you're in this wilderness, and it tells you how long ago I used to go, because I mostly bait fished in those days.
Yep.
And it's only in sort of like the last 15 years I've just been completely hammering soft baiting.
Yep.
Because, I mean, why wouldn't you? When you got a little dinky reel and a long rod, little whippy rod, and yet you're still, tangling with monsters, So a place like Great Barrier is just a stuff of dreams, It's right up there, not quite as good as the Mokes, but definitely, as you say, big coastline, lots of nooks and crannies.
Yep.
And you do feel like you're the only person there sometimes in the whole world,
Because sometimes
Can be
you are.
fantastic.
I one time on the ski, I left Matarangi and I cruised all the way up from Matarangi up past Coromandel right up to that little bay inside Arid Island.
Yep.
And I anchored the ski there and stayed on the beach in a tent the night, right above the high tide line, and got up at 5:30 in the morning, went for a fish just round the corner, and it was probably one of the best mornings fishings I've had in a long time. And I was using bait. That's the only time I ever used bait was that type of fishing, as I anchored up in the weed, in the rocks. I put the top catch burley out and dropped out some floating squids and some floating pilchards out the back in about 4 or 5 metres of water.
Yeah.
And man, I got snapper to pretty much 20 pounds, and just catching and releasing these beautiful snapper.
And that's the other thing too, isn't it? Like when you're fishing those relatively shallow waters, you have the choice of letting them go in good shape, and that's quite important to me too. I don't like keeping those big old fish. They don't eat; they're not particularly tasty. And just to have that tough fight on that little skinny gear, and then to get it and put it back in. Great Barrier is just one of those places, and big kingfish there as well. We used to get harpooker, not too far out from there, and quite a few yellowfin. Like we caught 9 yellowfin round the Needles. One day, 9 of them, and one of them was 58 kilos.
Jeez,
so Great Barrier is full of surprises. You never know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that destination, right? I just love it. Right, so let's just have a look. We've got plenty of people bringing in. Giving their guesses. So let's not keep you guessing anymore. We will shut down the guesses as soon as the episode starts. But let's get into the episode now. Let's watch the last part of the episode. On this week's Jetfish adventure, I'm at Great Barrier Island, more than an hour by water from Auckland, and the fishing is good. Oh, fish on! Oh, nice fish! Big fish! Big fish! And I'm hooked up to something big that has my little Daiwa reel singing like your nana. Oh, this is a big fish. Could be a kingfish or a really big snapper. Oh, it just grabbed it and ran. Wasn't even gonna fish here. I think it's a big kingfish. Oh, it's a kingfish, I'm not sure how big. Man, if it's a snapper though, it is a monster. This is a big fish. It's got to be a kingfish. Just the way it's behaving, it's run out from the reef. It's now just sitting there using its weight. And there is a lot of weight there. Oh, this could be a big battle. Oh! Busted me. That was a nice fish. I'm on 6 kilo gear. Man, it had me in some real gnarly terrain. 20 metres, 25 metres deep. You saw how it took off. Whew. Oh well, that's fishing. Luckily for me, there were plenty more fish in the sea. Fish on, fish on. Oh yeah, nice one. Here he comes. It's a nice 5-pound snapper. Right, well it's just a foul hook trevally, but it felt so heavy because he was hooked in the side. Great sashimi, the trevally. So I think that's going to go on the menu for tonight. Oh, thought it was a bit of a funny fight. Right, let's get him in and have a look at this. This is a new species for the trip and a big one for this species. Have to say, it's the biggest one I've ever caught. Look at that. Big kelp-dwelling reef fish. With plenty of fish caught, it was time to put away the rods for a bit and see what else Great Barrier Island had to offer. One of the things I love to do when I'm out fishing a new location is to actually explore the destination itself. It's so easy to explore an island like this on the Wave Runner. Great Barrier is a massive island and we'd had a good fishing session, so I decided to go for a cruise to see what else I could find.
This is why I love the Wave Runner. I can get up close to places that I'd never get near in a boat. Everything is accessible, including these amazing caves in the cliff face.
Little bait fish over there, look, little meow meows. Look at it. Looks like we're in a fish tank.
After a day of fishing and exploring, it was almost time to head home.
This trip to Great Barrier Island has been something special, and I thought it couldn't get much better. Man, was I about to be proven wrong. Big pot of whales here just cruising around, birds on top of them. They're rounding up some bait or something. I think they're pilot whales or false killer whales. I'm not an expert on whales, but man, they're everywhere here. As far as I can see, there's just whales crashing out of the water. There's got to be 15, 20 of them, as far as the eye can see. They've taken me in as one of their own. We're now just cruising slowly on one of the pack. How wicked an experience is this to do on a Wave Runner? We all live on the same planet, but when you come out on a Wave Runner, it's a different world. Imagine how it feels. You can probably hear it in my voice to get this close to creatures like this. Man, I am buzzing. Oh, 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 oh. That was episode 1. Man, that was a buzz to film. I hope you guys enjoyed it, watching it as much as I enjoyed filming it. So, what do you think of that?
I just wish I was over there as well, mate. What I love about fishing is that after all these years, I still have the same amount of passion for it as I ever did.
Yeah.
And so I see, you out there with your ski, just as you say, right in amongst all nature, being nice and quiet, and getting amongst some really nice fish. And you can only be quite envious, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the fishing on a trip like that. Like, I find it's the adventure, like getting into those caves. One of those caves was actually, we researched it. And I had a hunch when I was there, so we didn't go into it, but it was an ancient burial cave.
Wow. And
it had this big ledge in it, and you could only get close to it on a ski, or I guess in a canoe or something.
Yep.
In the way back. And then to come across those false killer whales, that was amazing. So I gave that footage to the guys who researched the false killer whales, and there's 2 pods of false killer whales that come to New Zealand every summer, and they travel. False killer whales are different than normal whales because they travel. Those particular packs travel with dolphins, and they act a lot like dolphins. Like, normally whales wouldn't swim alongside the boat or the ski like those ones did. They formated with them. The dolphins were swimming with them, and they just formated on the ski. You just cruise slowly, and we found them you could see the eruption in the water, and we cruised over, and there's all these birds, and the false killer whales were actually feeding on kingfish.
Yeah, wow.
And if you looked carefully in that last clip, as the show ended, there was a big false killer coming out of the water with a kingfish in his mouth, and what they were doing was they were coming out of the water with these kingfish, ripping the heads off them, which exposed the guts, and the guts would then float on the top, which the birds were coming for, and the false killers would eat the rest. It was like they were working together. It was amazing to see.
Yeah, well, you were talking about the feeding habits of those. One of the most amazing things I saw was in Hauraki Gulf, just off Rangitoto, and some orcas had rounded up some dolphins, and they were actually tracking the dolphins and eating the dolphins, much to the horror of the dolphin boat.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be that cool to watch.
That was just like being in David Attenborough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's nature, right? But so we need to pick that winner. So obviously, I didn't get that fish in. In hindsight, I think it was a big, big snapper. But the winner was Brandon Roberts. He picked that I lost it at the last second. So you're right, I did lose it, Brandon. So if you can message Jetfish TV, go to the Jetfish TV Facebook page. So you must like and follow that Facebook page. So we're going to do a little bit of stuff now around soft baits. Mark's obviously a soft bait expert. We're going to have a look at how some soft baits swim, how they look under the light. If you guys have any questions about soft baiting, I saw one pop up during the show actually about how I tie my jig head on. Now I tie my jig head on with a uni knot, so just a very simple uni knot. And I said to Mark, "How do you tie yours on?"
And yes, I tie mine, well, generally with a loop knot, because I like to have the lead head so that it's got plenty of action. Because what happens if you tie it very hard up to it, it does inhibit the natural way that it moves slightly. And with soft baiting, attaining the very best results, what it relies on is just a whole bunch of little things all done as well as you can. So I just feel that by having that loop knot and allowing it to just lift and fall absolutely freely and naturally, that it does give a slightly better action to the lure. But having said that, in recent times, I've actually, because I've been forced to fish on board with people who haven't got much room for rods, I've quite often only been able to take one soft bait rod. And when that happens, I was going, oh, what's going to happen when I want to go and change my weight of jig head? Because so often the exact weight of jig head you use is the key to catching fish. As you go into different depths and when the wind picks up, that sort of thing, you have to go and change your the weight or you perish. Your friends catch more than you. So what I've had to do is go to a little clip, and clips are always a risk because if you have, say, a fast hatch, which is a very good way of clipping a jig head on, they can get completely spaghettied if a big snapper gulps the whole thing down and actually comes into contact with it. Because, I mean, we're talking about a fish that crushes shellfish and crabs and
anything.
They're just so
Mussels.
powerful, you know. So yeah, that little it's great for that little clip's great for holding on a soft bait jig head. But it does have its limitations. And if you use the genie clip, what happens is the eye of it slowly opens up, and next moment your knot can just slip through. So what I do is I tie a doubled strand onto that genie clip if I'm going to use one. It's more solid. It's less likely to get munched up. It does have a lot more shine to it, so it's a bit more obvious, but I haven't actually found that it affects the bite opportunities very much at all. So that's definitely a good way of doing things.
Okay. So, I mean, I've always used the uni knot, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick look at how one of the soft baits, we've got a specialised soft bait testing tank out the back here. It's called the swimming pool. And I'm going to show you now a slow motion clip. I think it's slow motion this one. We'll have a look at this clip anyway of a soft bait working, and you'll see how it moves as you work that soft bait. So check this out. That's not slow motion. So you can see how it is dancing around there in time to the tunes. Actually, that's how I like to fish, is in time to the tunes. And what you'll also see is that the Z-mans are positively buoyant. So when that jig head's down on the bottom, the tail is sticking up. And that's sticking up because it's effectively floating. But when it's up, even if it's sitting on the bottom, that current, you can see it's still flapping in the wind. It's right in front of a little vent there, a little outlet vent in the pool, and that's what's effectively simulating the current. So even if that soft bait's sitting on the bottom, you've always got
That's right.
that movement.
It's like a little sign saying, come and eat me. You know, like when what I found when we actually dived, we'd had a bit of a snorkel on them and saw them working on the sea floor. It looked exactly like a fish with its head down, just feeding. Like even though the lure itself wasn't being moved around very much, there was just enough wave movement and current to have that tail just wafting around, creating movement and just enticing fish in to go and have a look. You know, so it is, and because it's such a mobile material, that Elastec material is phenomenal.
It's very
and very tough, of course. As well.
I'm seeing a couple of comments come in that they've lost some good fish because of the clips And to be fair,
It is a risk.
I've seen that comment a lot, and that's why I don't use them. I would prefer to use a uni knot, which I can tie in 10 seconds.
Yep.
Right, and so I don't need to have a clip. I don't find that it affects the movement of it personally, but I've never really tried a loop knot. So I might try it one day. Mark and I maybe might go out for a challenge one day, and he can run a loop knot or a genie clip, and I'll
think it might just come down to that?
I like your confidence. But yeah, I mean, there's so many factors involved in fishing that to get that.
A lot of it's about confidence, you know,
Exactly.
and that's why, you know, if you tie a uni knot well, just do it, you know, because far better to tie a uni knot well than other knots poorly that might give it more movement, you know. And I've got to say too that a lot of people just do a loop knot that's actually way too big, and you find that the head gets sort of like it's a hangman sort of thing. It's like,
Yep.
So, you know, if that's happening, you either got to find ways to make that loop knot smaller or go to a uni knot. In fact, you can even just pull it up hard against your thumbnail and leave a little loop. Sure, it's going to snug down on the next fish. But
when it's on the next fish, but then the fish is on, right?
What I do love about the uni is that you can tie it with 500 pound if you want, you know. So it's a very versatile knot to
I don't use 500 pound often on not on soft baiting. But yeah, you know,
for marlin, mate.
But
soft baiting for marlin.
Yeah, I mean, being able to tie a knot well and quickly can make the difference to your fishing.
And freshly.
Yes, and in any conditions. I was fishing in the Nationals one year, and we were on skis. There's a few of us on skis, and one guy busted off. And the time it took him to retie a knot, I caught 2 kingfish in the time it took him to retie his knot. So you've got to be able to just quickly retie, boom, done, right? So we can go over all that type of stuff. The how to rig your soft bait is probably the most critical, right? Yes. So the way we saw on the show, well, maybe if you guys want to see that again, we can show you on our camera in here. And also, I've put there's a video up now on the YouTube page, the Jet Ski Fishing Show YouTube page that you can see on the bottom. There's that video up of exactly how to put that lure on, so the soft bait on. Why don't we give away another prize?
Let's give away another prize, mate.
Let's give away another prize. Let's give away some Ocean Angler soft baits and a Farnley's cap. So what I want you to do, what should we get them to do for that one?
This is where you get the big bucks, mate.
Yeah, well, okay. So what I want you to do is tag a mate who still hasn't logged in, right? He should be logging in. Tag a mate, tell them that they should be here watching. We're going to have a look at another video while you guys do that, and then we will come back and pick a winner. So what we're going to look at now is we're going to look at a little bit of a side-by-side shot of a grub versus a shad. So the 7-inch, what we've seen on the show tonight is a 7-inch shads, which I just love to use, the jerk shads, right? I love to use that style of fishing, but when it gets a little bit slower, or I'm looking for some fish fingers, as Paul Senior calls them, the grubs are the way to go. I was out fishing for the first time in a little while, actually, last week, and it was a very slow day, and we were fishing everywhere. I was like, right, I'm done. But before I go, I'm going to change from my shad to a little motor oil grub. This little motor oil that's coming up in this clip. And straight away, fish after fish after fish. We just did a few casts. I got 3 fish to bring home. I didn't need many. 3 was perfect, right? 3 35-centimetre snapper at 4:30 in the afternoon was exactly what I was after. And they swim in different ways and in different currents, and they have different actions. So check out this clip of how they swim comparatively. So you can see at the top is the 7-inch. He's swimming away, and the back kind of 25% of the lure is working, but he's a bigger lure. Down the bottom is that grub, so the motor oil grub, and about 50% of that lure is really flapping around in the current. So that water coming out, making it flap around, that was a simulation of the current. That was the jet from the pool, right? So that's blowing a couple of knots of current, and that's what you've got typically when you're working your jig head as you're going along, and you can really see the difference that it makes, right? And so you use them in different scenarios. So when would you use a grub?
The grubs I tend to be very keen to use when I'm dragging.
Yep.
Anytime that there's I know the fish are actually feeding on crabs and shellfish and worms, and they're grubbing around. Like they're saying, I'm grubbing, so I'm grubbing.
Yep.
So, yeah, I like to just usually lob out my jig head, usually a little bit heavier than usual.
Yep.
Quite often it's going to be, say, at least half an ounce, but more likely 5/8 of an ounce. Depends how deep it is, obviously, too. But I want that lure to be bouncing a little bit and kicking up little bits of silt, creating noise, creating disturbance, that little tail going. And I'll be doing little jigs. Like I find people who do a lot of movement when they're dragging, they don't do very well. In fact, what I try to be is kind of almost like a rod holder, and I'm just doing little tiny jiggles. I might let a little bit of line out every now and then. I might wind a little bit in, but I just want them bouncing and just creating noise and disturbance, and I find that works really well.
For the dragging, certainly. Perfect.
And Golden Boy's another real good one, and so is that little... Bruised Banana and a little curly tail's another. And of course New Penny. Those little ones.
Yeah, I mean all those standard colours are there. They're the go-tos.
Atomic Sunrise.
Atomic Sunrise. Yep. Okay, let's pick a winner there, shall we? So we will have a scroll back, pick a random winner in there, Blake. Yep. Just there's good. Okay, Sean Riley. So Sean Riley, if you message Jetfish TV, send us a message and I will be able to send you your prize, which is some Ocean Angler soft baits and a Farnley's hat.
Nice.
Nice. I mean, some Ocean Angler soft baits to try. Let's have a look now at some soft baits under a UV light, as well as the different sized hooks. So during the Great Barrier episode, I was using the longer shank hooks. But Mark used to always be a fan of the normal shank hooks. And then I saw that he wasn't a fan of the long shanks, so I tried the short shanks, and I don't see a difference. And I think he's been converted a little bit now. So let's have a look at those different hooks now. We'll go to the Top Catch gear cam now, and we will have a look at these soft baits, and we'll shine a light on them, and we'll have a look at the different size. If I just put
and you can show the
in.
UV light on the heads as well, which
Yes,
because there's actually UV in the eyes, which a lot of people won't believe.
Yep.
But see, take it away, and then it doesn't.
Yep. So you can show it on that one there quite well. So that one there shows quite well. So if we shine the UV light on that one, you'll see that this one. Yep. That one. You can see how that eyeball really lights up, and that's what happens when it goes underwater and gets that UV light. And you can also see how the light how the lure color really changes. We should
see how this one here. That's why I almost didn't use Bruised Banana for a long time, because it just didn't seem to have any. And have you got the motor oil, mate? That one that
I've got a motor
here we go.
oil
I've got it here.
There we go.
Like motor oil. This one here, which doesn't seem to be very much, but boy, look at that.
This one, see if it makes a difference.
Yeah. So look at those two middle ones there. They absolutely light up. I used to tell people, don't get electric chicken. It's rubbish. It just looks horrible. I don't like green and pink. And then I noticed that it happened to be at the face of the biggest snapper I ever caught in my life. And I went, well, maybe there's something to it. And sure enough, there's so much UV content and reflectiveness in those. And of course, you can't see it because we can't. But the fish definitely do, and in water up to about 15, maybe even 20 metres, that UV reflectiveness can make a huge difference in them being noticed and then being eaten. And of course, even on that Atomic Sunrise, there's a fair amount, but go to the Bruised Banana, rubbish. And yet there's something about that works. And also, here's a smoky shad that's got nothing either.
Let's put that one in here.
Yep, so you got nothing with that really either, which, as I say, just recently it's been one of my favourites. So that kind of surprised me. And then you go to, say, one of these nuked pilchards, and once again you get that a lot of lighting up. And you've also got luminous properties in some of these, this one in particular, and also in the red bone. And that explains why it not only works in the shallow, but also deep down. So anytime you're fishing, say 40, 50 metres, that's a really good, those two are very good options. Same with coconut ice and also nuclear chicken.
Okay, so if we have a look at the length difference in these two hooks, right? So basically, that's a long shank versus a short shank. And we'll put that light back on again.
Yep.
Just to get just that light. Yep, and we can see that there's a big difference there, right? So pretty much the whole kind of, what do you call that part of the hook? The
shank or the we're talking about the gape or
the gapey bit of the hook, and so that makes a difference to how far it comes down.
That's right.
The thing, right? So there's a lure of where it's popping out with the short shank, and if we put that long shank on the other side, just brings it out that much further down.
Covers it really nicely.
Yeah,
and I must say,
to hold it.
that's right. It's very difficult to show.
What I'll do is I'll rig one.
Yeah.
So I'll show you how to rig it as well, right? While we're here, I'll go over the rigging of it again. So we come in through the nose. That's the nose there. Out through that flap there.
And this is just for our lures, not for, say, gulp or something like that. They do it differently.
This is for the Z-Man. It comes out that flap there, and you can see the flap, right? You then turn it round. I would have worked out exactly where I want it to come out to make sure it's tidy. But we'll pull it out there. Should push it up before you put it on, so I'm going to do that again.
Still pretty good.
Yeah, not.
No, you've got to be perfect, mate. It's got to be perfect.
I've got to be really happy with the way that my lure's presenting.
I need to put my glasses on, make sure it's exactly right, mate.
Right.
So I can critique it.
That's good. And so now you can see, what I like to see when I've rigged the lure is that it's not all bunched up in here, right?
Or curved.
Yeah, or curved. Because if it's like
or
that,
skew.
Yep, if it's like that, you've gone the wrong way. You've gone too far. And now that's a beautifully presented lure.
And that's the other thing, is just see how close that hook is to the body.
Exactly.
So that, when the fish eat it, they're going to eat both of those rather than having that sticking out. If they grab the body on the bigger gape hooks, which say 5 burrow instead of a 3 burrow, they quite often don't actually take the hook and barb along with it.
Yep. And as well, like, I'm going to rig one the wrong way, right? So some people will just rig their soft bait like this, right? They'll pop it out the crack.
Out the butt cheeks.
Out the butt cheeks, right? And they'll go, rightio, I'm ready to go. So they've just done that. They haven't done stage 2, right? It's just come out the flap. Now I want you to watch what happens when I pull this. So when I pull this, you can see where it starts to stretch from. Starts to stretch from the end of the hook here. There's absolutely nothing pulling on this part of the lure. If I look at this one, you'll see it stretching all the way up. It's starting to stretch from right up here, which means when a fish grabs it, if it pulls the wrong way, it'll start to pull down that hook.
Damn you, ribs. Damn you.
The ribs hold it on well, but it won't keep holding it on for long, right? And you can see how it's starting to stretch right from up at the eye. You can see that material starting to stretch there. See how that stretch is starting right at the eye? Whereas on this one, it doesn't start stretching until you're beyond the back of the hook. So you get enough bites on this part of the lure, and it's going to eventually just slide off there.
That's right, they do.
That's what happens. It just
they
slides off.
Them.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, the hooks are great. The light bulbs are great because they've got these ribs on. They hold it on well. But if you rig them properly, they'll stay on for ages.
That's right.
Okay.
So yeah, and that's of course why I used to use those short shanks is because you can go and put on one of these little, say a paddle tail.
Yep.
Or perhaps one of these little shrimpy type ones here.
Yep.
And use a long one as well, which was a real advantage. But I have to admit, once I put on those longer shanks, and it did cover the body a bit better further back, and I started finding that the first bite was hooking up a bit more than, say, the second or third, which was sometimes happening with the shorter shank one. I went, well, there is definitely a place for it. So that long shank with a 7 is a pretty good one. I even know guys who say they use those on the 5s as well. But
I have used them on the 5s, but I prefer the normal size shank on the 5.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So shall we just have a look at one more video? Won't keep you guys all night. We've been going pretty much an hour. So we'll have a look at one more video now, which is the looking around how that soft bait I think that's what we're doing. What is it? Let's have a look at see what it is, and I'll tell
Do
you
you
what
want
it
a
is. Yeah, let's have a look at it. I'm pretty sure what it's going to be is we're going to look around the Fusilier softbait. Fusilier is another awesome colour, like especially in the far north, it's like a koei.
Mate, it is.
And you can see how the softbait doesn't just go from side to side, it's side to side, up and down. And what this one really shows is how that forked tail really gives a huge amount of action. So having that forked tail there is awesome. Right, so look how much action that forked tail's getting. I mean, that to me is half the action of that softbait, right? So that just goes to show that if this forked tail, hang on, we'll go back to the top catch gear cam. If this forked tail happened to come off, and on some brands of softbaits that comes off easily, you've lost probably 50% of your action. Whereas on a Z-Man, it just never comes off, right? I mean,
Well, they do, but then you go and cut a new one.
that's right. You can just cut a new one, but it's actually quite
Doesn't happen
rare.
very often, though.
No, it's rare for that to happen. So that is episode 1 of Jetfish TV. If you guys have got any more questions, you can ask me. Obviously, what we haven't gone over is the secret sauce, right? So the secret sauce, I don't use a huge amount of secret sauce. Mark uses more secret sauce in the deep, you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. As far as just casting into the shallows and where you've got fish just rushing out of cover, grabbing it, there's not really much point to it. But any time it's a little bit more deliberate, where they have a little bit more time to actually inspect your offering, they're maybe not that hungry, the secret sauce can make all the difference, and especially with just how long they take it and hold on afterwards. So it gives you longer to react, because they're not just feeling right when they crash onto it, it's also releasing that scent. And so, they do tend to be more fooled, and you've got definitely a longer time to detect them and set that hook home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's just check if we've got a couple of questions. So we've got a question from Ross that says, do you use a creeper hook?
Oh, geez.
No.
I would if I knew what it was. So
Yeah,
I'm really sorry about that.
I'm picking that the creeper hook. There's some rigs that have a second hook maybe, or a little keeper hook that
I hate
some
those.
of them just hang through the nose to keep it on.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's just no need.
No.
So
These ones, because these 3 burrows are so close to the body of it, and because I know that they're never ever going to bend out. Yes, they can be crushed in occasionally, because we're talking about a fish that can crush shellfish.
Yep.
But you've got a hook that you can absolutely crank on, whether it's a big snapper or a kingy. With softbait gear, you're not going to open it up. You're never going to.
Yep.
And I just don't see the need for anything other than that particular style. Yep. I've seen little ones behind, hanging off the back, little stinger type ones, and all that I've seen happen is them bend and break and go into people's hands and that sort of thing. So keep it simple. It doesn't need to be very fancy at all. And I don't really like worm hooks either. They've got quite a big gape on them, and I find them quite hard to set. Okay. Except when you're in the weed, I could see some use in there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for coming around, guys. Let's just have a look. Why does Z-Man rig different to Gulp? It's just the way that the baits are designed. So the Z-Mans are way more durable, right? Like, you can't do that to many brands of softbait, right?
No.
The Gulp would...
Yeah, those leather jackets and wrasse and all the rest that just are the bane of your life, where you do one cast, you see your line jerking around, and you wind it in, you got an apple core on the end, Instead, they're going barrel, barrel, barrel. They just cannot bite through it. And in fact, it's to the point that if you wind it in and half of it's missing, you go, what the hell?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even feel it. Like, if you're not in touch with your line, and that's how you know if you're being in touch with your line when you're fishing. If you get a different brand of softbait back and it's all chewed to bits, you're like, what happened there? Yep. You need to keep more in touch with your line.
Everything's got their pros and cons.
Exactly.
Ours are, like great mobility, flotation, and durability.
Durability
is just key. Together, they just really are a very tough to beat combination.
Yep. So what else have we got? So doesn't matter which way the belly's colour is. No.
I guess it just it does in that the belly, it means that if you've got it coming out the belly, then it's the hook coming out the belly, it probably means you haven't hooked it right.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you've just destroyed it so much on one side that you want to have another shot out the other side. But it's generally something that happens with a gulp. When you get it all ripped up, then people might put it through the belly instead.
Yeah.
Have it exiting the belly just to get the life of that lure a bit longer.
Yep. Leader length?
Yeah, leader length, to me, I think it's actually well worth having a long leader, mostly because it allows you to go and retie knots, especially if it gets a bit of damage or you're having to retie different weights. I find it very useful. So I'm a 3 meter man. And,
3 meter?
Yep, especially because I'm fishing a lot in amongst rocks and weeds and that sort of thing. And even though braid is actually a tougher material than fluorocarbon is for its thickness, you cannot beat the thickness of fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon just still is way tougher because of its thickness. And so to have that protection, that extra protection, I feel a lot more confident when I've got 3 meters of 20 pound usually. I've never had to use any heavier than that.
No.
And yet, it's caught kingies like over 25 kilos. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that every time I land them, but it gives me a good shot anyway at landing the biggest snapper and decent kingfish.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well.
And just one thing,
I forgot. I nearly forgot about your book. So Mark has got his book out, right? So we're going to give away one of Mark's books to someone, and you can decide how they earn it.
Because basically, I just wanted something that is about all the different lures, covers like slow jigs, flutter type jigs, micro jigs, stick baits, poppers, minnows, you name it. We got all the different companies to send their favourite lures, give their tips, and this covers all of those different lures, how to fish them. And there's a huge, as you might expect, there's a huge section there on soft baiting because that's my love and my passion. It's got everything from knots through to diagrams on casting angles for the tide and the wind and all that sort of stuff. It's just 200 pages of all sorts of stuff in here. It's very inexpensive, like $30. So we're talking about the price of like a couple of packets of Z-Man, and you've got a book that will tell you everything there is that I know about fishing pretty much.
So if they want one, how do we get one now?
So yeah, you can get one through my Facebook or by messaging me, Mark at oceanangler.co.nz, or my wife.
Or you can message us here. Let's keep it simple.
Sure.
If you want to just message us here from this show or the Jetfish TV show.
Yep. So $30, and we're going to give one away as well.
Yep. Let's give one away now. If
so
you want one.
I guess the first person to say, "Pick me, please." I want your catch more kingfish, snapper and kingfish on lures. Is the winner. So
perfect. Good to see that some people are saying they've got one already. So
yeah, thank you very much for the people who already have one. It's fantastic.
Get in there, guys. Yep, I'm sure Mark will even sign it, and we'll send it out.
I will have it sent. I'll have it signed and sent, guys.
Yep. So you can email him. You can message me at the Jetfish TV page. You can message us at the Ocean Angler page. It's an awesome book. Heaps and heaps of information. You've heard how much knowledge that Mark's got here tonight.
And a great imagination.
Great imagination. I mean, that's the key. Yeah, that's pretty much the key of fishing, is to have a great imagination. So, Blake, if you just pull one out of there, let us know who the winner is. So, guys, remember that if
on first one, if you
the
can.
First one, yep. So the first one to say, pick me, please. Remember, guys, that what you guys sometimes see on your feed is not necessarily what we get on ours. So we're putting the first one that we see on our feed, which is Neil Vincer.
Yep.
So Neil, if you can message us here, message me at Jetfish TV on Facebook. And guys, for all of you that have tagged people tonight, make sure you follow Jetfish TV to be in the draw for that main prize. You've got to have followed Jetfish TV Facebook page, and remember to double up your entries. Go to Instagram and Jetfish TV. Okay, so. Thank you, mate, for coming along tonight.
No, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely awesome. It was
an
awesome show. Well, we're in level 3 now. We're in level 3?
Level 2.5.
Level 2.5.
Yeah.
Even better. So, guys, we will see you again here next week, same time, 8 o'clock every Thursday. Tell your mates, tag your mates, share this, do whatever you want to get some people here. Let's see how many people we can get here. This is a whole new way of presenting a fishing show. We can tell by the engagement we've got tonight that it is massive, okay? So get out there, share it, thanks for watching. Mark, thanks for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure, mate.
We will see you guys next week.